in case you missed it in the first hour, the grades across the board for the draft were A's. Everybody. All of the national outlets that grade these sort of things that have some sort of prestige gave the Browns in some form or fashion an A. Yep. Either an A+, an A-, or a solid A. And that's rare for this club bowl.
You know it's good when the analytics guys and the football guys agree that the draft was good.
There is a convergence. There is somewhere where there is, and you know what? It is a meeting in the middle. We've always said that. It's analytics absolutely have to play a part in this, and so does gut instinct and feel. And I think what the Browns used is a nice convergence of the two. That's why I think everybody agrees on it, because there's a little of both.
And we even agreed. Like, I thought, at least I'm going to come in, I'm like, okay, well, they might. I said, okay, a Bull is definitely going to, because he's a prove it 3 year in a row guy. If you even play good next year, you'd be like, nah, I
need to see it more.
I need to see it more.
I'm only judging on paper. I mean, I can't say they've on paper, I like what they did across the board.
You've been very congratulatory today. And I said, I love it.
The number of trades they made? How many trades did they make?
I will look that up while you guys are telling me of all their picks. And I want you to start with this one because I talked to him last night about it.
Yeah.
Of all the Browns draft picks, which was particularly your favorite pick? G, you're up first.
I'm going to go with, and this was the first pick. And the reason I'm going to say Fano is because I wasn't really a guy. I was on the fence about him. As you watch him play, you see a little bit, and you're like, okay, well, I think he needs to get stronger. I think he still needs a little more functional strength, and I don't know if he can do that playing at his weight. But then I got the chance to see him talk to the coach, and I got a chance to see him in the locker room. And one of the things that he did is his attitude is infectious, because I think it's a they are very conscious of making sure that they get people that have an attitude of, I want to inflict pain. And I think that the offensive line sets the tone. I think that way too many times there was quarterbacks getting picked off the ground. Way too many times there's blocks being missed. There's way too many times where you're asking yourself, who has that? And when the Cleveland Browns were really good, in the first early years of the Stefanski regime, the thing that always stood out was you knew that the Cleveland Browns, if they had the football with 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Batonio and Teller and them boys, you might as well, it was good night, because they can line up. And good luck hitting Nick Chubb in the backfield, tackling those two dudes and we all have watched the last couple of years, and that hasn't been there. That when you need a couple of yards, it just ain't been there. It's like pulling teeth. But when he told me, he said, man, it ain't nothing like controlling another man against his will, and he can't do nothing about it. I said, that's exactly what we need, because now you've set yourself up. You got a left tackle, and you hear what Todd Monken said. They say, where is he going to play? He's left tackle. And the thing that I wanted to get out of this draft, I wanted starters. I didn't want to mess around with maybe he might play, rotate in. No, you needed starters. And they got one, and I like this guy with his attitude, because I think it's going to help out the quarterbacks, and it's the start of getting back to what it is to be a Cleveland Brown, and that's to be dominant up front.
Wow. I like that pick. I like McNeil-Warren. Out of all of them, I like him the best. And when I say that, I'm taking into account where that player was selected. For them to get him at 58.
Crazy. We
had hypothesized on Friday during Zach's mock, I think he had him going 34. And I thought, he even could sneak in there and be a late first rounder. I heard some folks that had late first round grades on him. You're talking about adding a player that with their fourth pick at 58, deep in the second round, from a contract standpoint, and it's all about fitting the pieces together. He's going to be very little drain on the salary cap, and he's going to be a guy who I think is going to come in here and he's going to contend for starting role right away, and I think he's going to have it.
Yes.
I really do. I think everything I've heard and read about this kid is that he is a phenomenal player. To me, what stood out the most is his ability he's a ball hawk. He just closed. Some of the highlights that I saw, he was closing on wide receivers at the last second. This is a great example here. Look at him. It's like a torpedo. He's a heat-seeking missile.
He's 6'3.5", Jay.
Huge player. So now you've got someone to match up against the bigger receivers in the NFL, and I just think that he's a guy that you need in the back end of your secondary to shut things down.
Look at that play. He dived that catch out of bounds.
It's insane. It's just absolutely insane. And I love the pick. I think for me, it's the best value pick. He's a guy that it really, in fact, if you look at their first 4 picks, guys, most if not all of them had first-round grades.
They might have got 4 first-round picks with these guys.
And so imagine if you go all those years with no first-round picks. What Andrew Berry effectively pulled off was taking 4 players who had first-round grades by a lot of people that know what they're doing in this department. So if you tell me a team is going to add potentially 4 first-rounders in one draft, they've got the back-to-back wide receivers. I love those picks. So I love everything about this draft, but I think the pick that I'm most excited about right now is McNeil-Warren.
I'm going to break the rule, Mike, and I'm going to pick 2 guys. Sorry.
Just don't take my guy, because I got a guy too.
I'm taking both Boston and Barber as my favorite picks,
like
and here's
Barber
why.
too.
Because it signifies that the Browns were committed to, I'm going to call them the Double Down Brothers.
Okay.
Right? Or the Double Dip Brothers, whatever you want to call it. I know that nickname's not going to stick, but for a moment I'm going to use that because the Browns always seem to, when they have a big need, they never go far enough. Right?
I know what to call it. It's called Project Stockpile.
Project Stockpile.
There you go. We finally got it for 4 years.
They needed stockpiling at wide receiver and offensive line. And oh boy, I mean, wide receiver, you had one guy. You did nothing in free agency, so you used 2 high picks, including Boston. And I like him. I'm not worried. I think we spend too much time worrying about the speed of these guys. There's plenty of great receivers that aren't super burners. And then to double down and then eventually triple down on the offensive line, you have added, including, what's his name, who they re-signed? Who's the guy they re-signed to the offensive line?
Tevin Jenkins.
Yeah. Including him, who you re-signed. But you added 7 offensive linemen.
Wow.
7 between the draft and free agency and trade.
They needed to. They didn't have many left.
Their entire offensive line from last year is basic. It's gone. It's an all-new. Jenkins is the only guy who might be a starter, probably at least in the beginning of the year. But I could see Barber moving a guard and being the right guard at some point this season. And they now have depth at the position. They could get rid of the dead weight at offensive line and get rid of the dead weight at wide receiver.
Right.
So
and there is some dead weight at wide receiver.
100%.
Cedric Tillman.
And this puts them. So doubling down at those positions allows them not only to get better at the top, but also allows them to get better in terms of depth.
Yeah, it's a great point. Mike, who's your favorite guy taken?
Concepcion.
No. No, it's a great pick. I like the Concepcion pick. And Bull, I like where you were going. But Parker Brailsford in the 5th round was a guy that, Zach had mentioned last week as a target for the Browns and was doing a little research on Parker Brailsford. And for the record, I'm just not picking one of you guys. I think Concepcion, Fano, all those guys are probably the right answer. But Brailsford is a guy who's a tiny bit undersized. He only weighs 290, weighed 289 at the combine, or would have been higher. The size is the one thing that's kind of holding him back from being a day 2 pick. But Todd Monken talked about how Tyler Lindenbaum and his size and athleticism allowed him to flourish in the offensive run game they wanted to do. And if you take a look at the highlights, 382, Steve, Brailsford's a guy who played at Washington with DeBoer, followed him to Alabama, has 42 starts in the SEC, and he's not a power center, he's more of an agile, you can pull, you can counter, you can move him. And when you look at the pieces of the offensive line that the Browns are assembling, you got the giant in Austin Barber, DeJuan Jones, you got the athletic guy in Fano, and now you have Brailsford in the middle who kind of fits that athletic profile. I really like that pick.
I don't think DeJuan Jones is playing anytime soon.
Yeah,
that man right there, that's called a jump set. When you jump, that's the quick set off the line of scrimmage, and you're right into a guy. And it takes guys, it catches people off like balance, and it stonewalls your momentum immediately. Look, he runs his feet very well. Look at that, he's on him right now, and we ain't worried about it. And look at how he can switch off on twist and text. I love the way he's able to be athletic. He completely reached that guy right there. Like when you get a guy like this, don't worry about the size at center. I know a couple good centers that wasn't over 300 pounds. Alex Mack was a great center for the Cleveland Browns, right? Talk about what's the name? Kelsey. Kelsey wasn't a huge center, but for the Philadelphia Eagles. But the thing that Kelsey was able to do is move his feet. And now you can move Elgin Jenkins to his position that he's best at. You can move him to guard, and you don't even really need it. And the cool thing about taking all the offensive linemen that I like is there is no more Camp Cupcake. We ain't going to the Greenbrier. If you want to play for this team, you're going to have to beat some of these young, hungry dogs out. Like, ain't nobody's position. Tevin Jenkins, I know we brought you back, dog, but they now have a rotation of people that now instead of if somebody gets hurt, because that's the thing that's going to happen on up front. Somebody going to get hurt. Somebody's going to be injured. We're no longer going to the practice squads or off the street trying to get guys to play and fill in. You got guys. That was the case.
If you look by conference, it was interesting. They took 5 SEC players, which I love, just 1 from the Big Ten. But the thing I like about the Alabama picks is that these guys are blue chip guys. They clearly were when they came out of high school. They played at a program where there are big expectations. And I like that.
A lot of starts, too. A lot of career starts.
Yes.
Barber and Brailsford played almost over 40 games.
I forgot his name now. I forgot everything. The quarterback.
Taylor Green.
Yeah,
Green.
He
Two-year start at
years
Arkansas and started at Boise State before he transferred to Arkansas.
I'd be lying if I said I knew much about Justin Jefferson. I watched the tape after they drafted him. I went looking and saw some highlights. There were a lot of things in there that I really liked, but again, they're called highlights for a reason.
Right.
I think that to adequately judge a player, you need the lowlights too. You need to know his ceiling and his floor, and those are really hard to find. Nobody's putting together low-light tapes on players. I'm sure there were plays, if you dig deep enough and if you watched Alabama football, then you would know this because you watch every snap. You know, is he in position more often than not? The highlights can be very, very deceiving. I've never, after all these years of watching the draft, I've never, after you see the tape, thought anything but, oh, that guy can play. Again, we're seeing his 1%.
That's right.
What does his 1% on the bottom look like? I don't know. But in general, I just
needed some depth at linebacker.
You know what I most love about this exercise, guys? I know you named 2 guys, but there were 5 different guys.
Right? Yeah.
We all had a different favorite pick. And to me, like last year, I think everybody liked Fannin last year.
Everybody liked Judkins.
Everybody liked Judkins.
Those were the 2 picks that if we did the exercise,
we didn't know what Schlesinger was going to become. In fact, there were guys on the panel, I think, that didn't like the Schlesinger pick because none of us knew who he was.
Yeah.
We didn't really know much about him.
G had a mini freak out live.
I know he did. I know,
Listen,
I didn't want to call you out.
No,
but
I know. I lost my mind. And then I went to practice, and I said, dog.
Yeah, he's for real.
It's funny because I said, man, go out there. They got Mason Graham and this Schlesinger kid. And then I saw Schlesinger running around knocking people out. I said, okay.
Yeah, he can do it.
He's one of them.
There weren't any. The Browns didn't make a single pick where I think we were like, ugh.
Yeah, no, and I can't remember the last time that's happened. It was great top to bottom.
We certainly had that last year a couple of times, even
we did.
with the success.
No, we did. We did have
led
some
by
draft
the
picks
Dylan
last year.
Gabriel
Right.
pick.